Yes, I know it's been a while since I made a video in my series, So You Want to Be a Truck Driver. Well, the time has come for me to make another video in the series. So, you want to be a truck driver. Today we're going to talk about the so-called driver shortage, which is still a myth, and the reasons why it's so hard to find good, qualified professional drivers. Roll intro. Hello there, Sully here, the retired tanker yanker. Welcome to Transitions. Remember to subscribe to this channel and like and share this video. Well, they're at it again. The driver shortage. Hey gang, wonderful opportunities in the trucking industry. Come drive with us. No CDL, no problem. We'll teach you. Okay, the recent COVID-19 pandemic has screwed up all of our lives. There's no denying that. But the light is at the end of the tunnel. Effective vaccines are halting the spread of the virus, and more people are getting vaccinated, getting protected from this deadly virus. And the new normal is slowly becoming the old normal. I can now go out to stores, my pool for my daily workout, ball games, bars, restaurants, all those things we used to do, and go there unmasked because I am fully vaccinated. Of course, certain establishments are still maintaining mask mandates, so I do carry one in my pocket, but for the most part I don't have to wear it. And I'm retired, which means I'm not looking for a job. Unemployment reached high levels during the pandemic, of course, and as the world reopens, people are going back to work, and places are hiring, and that includes trucking companies. Now, during the pandemic, the supply chain suffered serious gaps, and product shortages were common. Hey, remember the toilet paper shortage? How about the price of meat, and the availability, or non-availability, of meat, produce? The stores blame supply chain problems. Manufacturers blame workforce shortages due to the pandemic and government mandates for people to stay home. Trucking companies blame the driver shortage, etc., etc., etc. You know what I mean. Now, our government did step in to make it easier. We all received stimulus payments, 3 to be precise, which totaled $3,200. And those on unemployment received additional benefits, as did people with dependent children. And when vaccines became available, they were distributed free of charge. Agencies and charities handed out boxes of food, stuff like that. They just tried to make it a little bit easier. Of course, those of us on Social Security got nothing else except a paltry 1.6 COLA. Hey, I worked for nearly 50 years, paid into Social Security without complaint, and now I'm struggling to pay the damn bills. But I'm not here to complain about that. What I am here to complain about is that once again, the ATA is hauling out that driver shortage crap. Again! And the news media is eating it up. And of course, big trucking is making the same claim. They say that they can't find enough qualified drivers and will hire you and train you if you meet their minimum standards. And I think that by minimum standards, what they really mean is breathing. The shortage in the trucking industry, and I've said this before, it's not drivers, it's companies willing to pay for the services of drivers. The ATA and big trucking insist on blowing smoke up our skirts about how great the industry is, when in fact, it's not all that great. I mean, think about it. The time spent away from home, long hours, lousy pay, lack of respect and dignity, it weighs on people, and many of those people have just said, to hell with it. Now, the ATA likes to use analytics. I love analytics. I love algorithms. I love all those things. Yeah, right. Okay, here's some real world analytics. A starting driver can make up to $40,000 a year. Yeah, that's a lot of money if you're used to making $7.25 an hour. That translates to about $16,000 a year. Good luck paying your bills on that. But that's based on working 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, a total of 2,040 hours. Why don't we look at it from a trucker's perspective? You work 70 hours a week for 52 weeks a year. That's 3,640 hours a year. At $40,000 a year, that works out to about $11 an hour. Okay, better than $7.25, but it's still not a living wage. And remember, that $40K is not the starting pay. No, you need to work up to that. The company recruiter said that you can earn up to or as much as $40K. As any driver knows, recruiters are liars. They promise you anything, and usually that $40K is actually what you can make after a few years, but you will have to work at it, and in your first year expect closer to $30K, which translates into less than $10 an hour. And that doesn't include what it costs you to live out of your truck. If you have a family, you're sending money home, and maybe you're lucky, you might have about $100 to tackle incidental expenses. And of course, you'll likely have to pay 100% of your medical insurance and maybe get 1 week paid vacation after a year. So long as you return your truck to a company terminal and pay your own way home and back. That's the thing. Trucking companies, if they give you any paid vacation at all, give you a week and make it so inconvenient to take it that it won't be worth it. Now, employers in all industries are having a hard time filling positions as the pandemic ends and the world reopens. They say that people are making more money to stay home than to work. Really? Look, I've been on unemployment and it's not a lot of money. And even a few hundred extra a week doesn't cut it. And that benefit is set to end anyway. What needs to happen? Employers need to pay more and provide better benefits like paid health insurance, paid leave, paid vacation, etc. And trucking companies need to do that also. I've said this before, and I'm saying it again right now. Do away with mileage pay. Pay drivers an hourly rate based on the Department of Labor Service Contract Act, which is how postal contractor drivers are paid. Overtime, time and a half after 40 hours. You know the truck drivers are not eligible for time and a half overtime after 40 hours. But if you do that, it not only will end the so-called driver shortage, you will have safer and more compliant drivers. Those rates need to go up as well as the federally mandated minimum wage. No one who works for a living in this country is worth 1 cent less than $15 an hour, and no one who drives a truck is worth less than $25 an hour. But, Sully, you say, won't prices go up? Well, anyone who has ever taken an economics class is familiar with the law of supply and demand. If more people are earning more money, then production increases. If more people have more money, then they are spending it. Supply and demand will balance things out, and while prices may go up a little bit, they will stabilize. Oh, and another thing. Close the goddamn Commodities Exchange! We all saw what happened with fuel prices since the first of this year. Speculators shorting fuel futures caused a spike in the price we pay at the pump. They were basing their short calls on the collapse of the electric grid in Texas this past January due to winter weather, and that caused the oil industry to shut down, which caused a shortage in fuel. When the grid got back online, demand was exceeding supply, and speculators who shorted spring fuel contracts, they made a killing. You know, it's a license to steal. Now, don't get me wrong here. You know that my favorite TV show is? It's Billions. That's all about commodities traders and law enforcement and how they deal with it. The crux of that show is game theory, how the game is played. I know and you should know that it is not a documentary of stock and commodities exchange practices, but it's pretty close to what really goes on. Commodities and stock traders, well, in fact, they're a bunch of drunken, drug-addled adrenaline junkies. They become rich on our money because they buy and sell everything we need and everything trucks haul. Hey, I know I sound like a socialist here, but you see, about 2,000 years ago, there was this cat walking around named Jesus who was saying the same thing. Hey, just saying. Okay, Sully, you ask. Why does big trucking and the ATA keep on talking about the driver shortage? Why does the media keep buying into it? Well, big trucking wants drivers, but doesn't want to pay for it. By harping on this driver shortage, their plan is to keep wages low by hiring a bunch of newbies. They don't want experienced drivers who expect to be paid for their time. It's easier to convince inexperienced drivers to go to CDL school and then work for peanuts. And of course, CDL schools are another snow job. I've said before that maybe 1 out of 10 people who actually starts a CDL school will wind up working in the industry in a decade. Now, of course, I was the rare case of somebody who made a career out of driving, but from time to time, I think about the 9 people who started with me who didn't make a career out of driving. I think about it a lot. I don't lose sleep over it, but if you see a veteran driver who has been working in the industry more than a decade, you're looking at the exception, not the rule. And exceptional drivers deserve better. Better pay, better working conditions, and better treatment by the companies, as well as the public who depend on professional drivers for everything they have. Remember, if you have it, a truck brought it. It was a professional truck driver, in fact, that brought your COVID-19 vaccines! For Transitions, I'm Sully, the retired tank yacker. Safe and happy travels.